You guys can have a small introduction. If anyone wants to introduce themselves or have a little convo with us, they can. Uh, so our guest is with us.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yes, sir,
Yeah, yeah,
loud
of
and
course.
Great.
hello, sir. Am
So,
I audible?
yes, you are. Just let me know whenever we are good to go, and then we can actually start the session.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, I welcome you on the behalf of Amartya Finance Club and students of IIT Madras PhD degree.
Great. Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you so much.
Thanks for considering our request and giving your valuable time from our busy schedule. Myself, Lakshay Sharma, host for today's session, and with me, Pallav Jha is here as my co-host. With that, I am handing it over to Pallav to continue the session.
Thank you, Lakshay, and again a very warm welcome to you, Abhishek sir. Uh,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
can we start now?
Sure. Also, I guess the host needs to permit me to so that I can show my video. I guess I've not got the permission to show the video.
Oh, wait, so wait.
Sure.
Wait. I think it's fine now.
Yes. So now I'll just enable the video. I hope you guys can see me at this point of time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome again, sir.
Great, great.
Amazing, amazing.
So let's start now.
Sure.
Okay, sir. So basically, this is a like a Q&A session. We have collected the questions from our audience and our students and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, firstly, before we get into the questions we got from our audience, let's start with your journey in the field of trading and investing.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me over here and considering that yes, I could add some value. Just a quick before we start, I hope everyone is comfortable with English, or should I do it a English kind of thing?
We can do it English, sir. Everybody is comfortable in Hindi as well, I think so.
Cool, cool, cool. But in general, I guess English is fine for everybody, right? Because I'm also fine with communicating only in English as well. I just want a audience feedback. Should I be speaking at least in Hindi also, or completely English is also working out well with you people? Everything is fine. Got it. So let's start. So it has been almost 11 and a half years into the market. I don't come from a family which ever belonged to the stock markets. Completely science background. I'm probably the first one who jumped the boats and preferred to take commerce as a subject. The reason was because I got to know that science students have to study a lot, and I was somebody who wanted to escape that race. Sadly, I got to know even commerce people have to study, specifically in accounting, but then that's a different story. So that is the reason. Somehow convinced my parents that I will do chartered accountancy because that's the only thing which was known to the normal society at that point of time. Quick fact: I didn't even appear for a single paper for CA. So that was only an escape from not getting into science. Then moving forward, how I got introduced to the market was in commerce. We do have a subject called business studies, wherein we study also about capital markets, which is a bit of a boring subject because it goes very theoretical. And as usual, my attendance used to be 30-40%, but somehow I attended that session wherein I was assigned to work on a particular project around capital markets, and the topic was around Warren Buffett. So that was my first introduction out there. And this is, I guess, even before 11 and a half years back. I guess it would be 13 years back where I was introduced to this name. For those people who are very quick on hands because you guys are IITians, so you know that how to use the internet in the best possible manner, specifically 24 hours before your exams. And now to even chat GPT is out there. But in our days, it sounds like Baba Adam ka zamana, but it's not that old as well. But in our days, if you would search on Google around, let's say if you want to look around Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett wouldn't be the first thing which will pop up on the Google screen. So there used to be multiple pages. Sometimes you had to scroll down to the second and third page in order to get the right one. So I come from that age where I've seen the evolution of 2G, 3G, 4G, now to 5G using a LAN cable. BSNL used to give 500 MB for a month, which obviously I started exceeding because I used to be on a Yahoo chat room with my girlfriend. So obviously, parents had to pay for this thing, and then my internet connection was also quickly squared off. So Warren Buffett, when I was doing the research, I got to know there's someone who was making insane amount of money through stock markets, and that pulled up my attention for the first time. Later on, so my parents actually come from academical background. Both are PhD holders. I often say that मेरे हिस्से की पढ़ाई उन्हीं ने कर दी है. So so being so studious, my father was a BHU topper. My mother also has written a lot of significant research papers. In fact, she falls into top 2% of scientists in her field in the entire world. So there was some statistics and records. So well studious kind of people. So I'm really proud of them because they have done their part really well. I didn't study much, but they have done fairly well. So one thing was pretty sure when you're coming from a background of academics and specifically government based academics, so they wouldn't refrain from giving you money for studies, whatever you want to study. So, for example, I guess most of you would relate if your parents are into jobs and they have seen they are hardworking. Even if you say that I want to go and do, I want to go to the United States of America and do my education or whatever, irrespective of how much amount it requires, they wouldn't deny. So I just said that I want to do a certification because a couple of my friends were actually going to do a stock market certification. And I said that, okay, fine, I'll try to do that. And that is where I got to see the screen with all the red, blue, green, everything going over the screen. Interestingly, I was finding those sessions really boring, but the very moment the person who was actually teaching, he was an ex HSBC fund manager. The moment he said that, I make 10,000 rupees every day for my client, and I'm like, huh? 10,000 rupees a day. And here I was at that point of time, I was like, okay, even if I get, so because it's 13, 14 years back, even if I'm getting a 3 lakh CTC package, CTC that too, I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good to go. Because all I need is in, 5, 10,000, I'll have food, 5, 10,000 for the girlfriend and all those things, and that's it. But then finding somebody making 10,000, so that is what clicked into my brain. So, okay, there's good amount of money to be made. So the best part is the entire certification was for 30 days. But after this session, I didn't attend a single session because now I just wanted to look into the screen and trade. I opened up my account with, I guess, at that point of time, 1,200 rupees or 1,300 rupees was total, which I had kept over there and started trading. Now, to my surprise, went through ups and downs. I still remember I traded into a share called Moser Beer. For those people who don't know, Moser Beer used to be very popular for their pen drives later, but initially they were also related to the music industry. Now, interestingly, what happened is my share, I thought that, the entire world is fool. They are running behind, good shares like Reliance, ICICI, SBI, and Videocon was also there, called a so-called good share at that point of time. And I was like, everybody is a fool. Why they're buying 100, 200 rupee share? I'll buy a 3 rupee share. I'll sell it if at 3.5. I'll keep on doing it for a year. Power of compounding. And in my brain, I was already a millionaire. And little did I realize that this 3 rupees to 3 rupee 5 paisa transition was taking almost months. And it was happening in the reverse direction. That 3 rupees was going to 2.9, 2.8. So my compounding maths was actually going wrong out at that point of time. So just for a few weeks, I was thinking how quickly I'll become rich. And just after a few weeks, I was thinking how much borrowing I need to do in order to become sustain my pocket money. That is the changed state. But then going forward, for 2.5 years, I made losses in the initial years. Took a break. The good part was since I was not bestowed with a lot of funds, I was not being given a lot of funds, so I could sustain. I thought let's focus on understanding how the markets function. For the next 2 years, I did work out on how we can actually sustain into the market. 4.5 years later, I saw the first decent amount of profit at that point of time because see today with the advent of technology, you have ease of access to these kind of sessions, a lot of books, ebooks, and a lot of YouTube material. At that point of time, we were not having all those things. I guess even later when YouTube actually came, the only things which used to work around was the songs like Brazil, la 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 la. All those things were only working on YouTube, nothing on the educational front. So somehow managed to do that. Now, over the period of last 11 and a half years, for a fairly longer period of time, I did trade in futures. Futures used to be my forte because I used to get futures with as little as 15,000 rupees in margin. I know for a lot of people who are active traders would be surprised. Oh, 15,000 overnight. Yes. Today, anything which is costing 1 lakh, 1,50,000, I used to get at 15,000 overnight. That is how I used to deal with futures. So obviously it was very tempting. And the more interesting part was there were brokers who were giving even 40x for futures, 40x on futures. So yes, sad days for most of you who are listening over here now. It is not more than 3x and 5x in cash, but there used to be 40x. So I had some lucky streak while I was doing my post graduation. The reason why I did my post graduation was because any person who is a little confused in his ambition in our country and just knows that I need to eventually make money and is unemployed, eventually thinks of doing a master's. And that is precisely what I also did. And in my master's, I just used to sit in my library, for which even on my convocation day, I was being awarded as the most studious person in the library. The only difference was I was not there for studying. I was there because that was the only place which had a computer with good LAN cable, and I could do quick intraday trades out there. So that was the only reason I used to sit in the library. And yes, I made decent money out of there. But over the last 11 and a half years, I wouldn't say that each year has been very profitable. And I've been very vocal about this thing, for which I also get trolled. I would say of the 11 years, I would say I've been profitable for almost 4 years in derivatives, 4.5 years. But those 4.5 years have been really very profitable, and I feel grateful for that. In terms of derivatives, at times 3.5 years, I've been in losses in derivatives. In cash, when you say equity, intraday, as well as delivery, I guess in cash, I am profitable for 8.5 years. That's a good part. So in cash, sustainably scaled. But in FNO, yes, it's total right from 11 years if you calculate. So there were 2 years in start. Then in around 2015 or 16, there was 1 year. Again in 2020 around, there was another year where I was into loss in one of my personal accounts. But in general, it has been a fantastic journey, and I don't feel like giving up on trading, because yes, for whatever years we make money, you actually make a lot of money. And just for a quick fact, you will make higher than the highest packages which IITs also get, just for context. So that has been my journey so far.
And this is not a kind of motivation to start trading. First learn, then start it.
Absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
because I also started trading with Yes Bank only. When it was
Oh,
16.25, I thought that it will go till 16.30. I bought 5,000 shares and in delivery that too.
I can understand why people were so excited for this session.
All right, sir. All
Great.
right. So, obviously, you have a scintillating and roller coaster like journey. So, what is the single most valuable lesson that you want to give us from your journey?
Okay. The single most important lesson is don't hesitate to change your asset class in which you actually trade. And just to build up a quick context, you need to understand that just because anything which has been portrayed on social media, be it Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, just because everybody is saying that you should get into option selling doesn't mean that everybody should get into index option selling. George Soros, the man who broke the Bank of England in the year 1992, in a single day, he made $1 billion in a single day. And he trades currencies. Paul Tudor Jones, he trades commodities. As I said, in for most of the career, I have done futures. Warren Buffett, he did value investing. If you talk about a couple of other people, Peter Lynch, although he says value investing, but for a fair period of time, he also did growth investing. If you talk about Charlie Munger, he didn't touch about the intrinsic value; he only touched the good quality shares. If you talk about Mark Minervini, he does cash swing trading. So what I mean to say is, a lot of time we try to define our asset class and our style based on whatever has been shown over the social media. Please don't fall for it. All styles make money. Eventually, what are you aspiring to do? You are trying to get a good ROI over your investments. Now, even if you are able to achieve that with swing trading, if you are able to achieve it with investing, even if you are able to achieve it with FNO, if you are able to achieve it buying options, that's completely fine. But you got to understand that every asset class and every style has a different set of rules. And in order to master those, you need to devote time. It's just like maths. The more you practice, the better you become at the game. So markets are like amoeba, they keep on changing their shapes every now and then. So if you need to adapt with that, stick to one style. That in a nutshell, stick to one style, stick to an asset class. If that asset class isn't working out for you for the 2 years or 3 years, you have done everything, change that asset class. Go into currencies, go into commodities. That's completely fine. Eventually, you will get the key to success.
All right, great. But what is the first asset class that a guy should start who doesn't know trading or anything?
In today's time, I would say it would be equity cash. Don't start with more than 1500 rupees. You would say what will happen in 1500 rupees? A lot can happen. You need not to just because you have 1500 that you should start targeting a 10 rupee share. No, don't go for that.
Mm.
Try to go into Nifty 50 or at least Nifty 100 universe. Just go on Google, try to find out Nifty 100 stocks, make a list, try to do whatever kind of analysis you can do. Google it. I'll give a quick hack to everybody. Disclaimer, I've not been sponsored by that, but Zerodha Veracity, that is one of the finest tools available into the market. I know in today's time, the moment you're going to open Instagram, there would be people who would be pitching you that in 10 rupees we can teach you trading, in 99 rupees we can teach
Mm.
you trading. Uh, I don't know how they are teaching in 9 and 10, 90 rupees, but the reality is for free, you can understand 50% of trading and investing merely by going into Zerodha Varsity. That is completely free. They have an application also as well as the PDF. So I would say first get a brief insight about how trading works, how investing works. This is a free of cost tool. That's the first thing. And start with 1500 rupees. My honest opinion, don't come into future and option at least for 2 years. Brush yourself. That's my opinion. I can be completely wrong over here. But for the first 2 years, it's just cash. So try your hands out in Yes Bank, but not with 5,000 shares, with 50 shares. Try your hands in ICICI Bank, but not with 500 shares, with 5 shares. Just try to do this hit and try, so that you try to get a glimpse of how the market is functioning, how the volatility is functioning. And see, paper trading doesn't involve emotions. So,
Mm.
I mean, even though I would say that yes, initially just to understand how the buy and sell thing works and all those things, that's fine. But the reality is, it's so just like, lately we all have been watching cricket. Okay. So it's so easy to watch the cricket. अरे कोहली को तो ऐसा करना चाहिए था. अरे उसको ऐसा करना चाहिए. See, when you are on the ground, na, things completely differ. It's very easy to sit on the other side of the screen and say because your emotions are not involved. When that cricketer is on the ground, so many people are viewing him. He has team pressure. He has so much of pressure. That completely defines this thing. So my honest opinion: start with cash. Spend at least 1.5, 2 years. Different people will have different grasping powers. Some might even grasp in 6 months. I'm not saying everybody needs to wait for such a long period of time, but the more time you give on cash, that's better. In future an option, if you seriously want to consider future an option, please don't go for that until unless you have at least a capital of 1 lakh rupees for practice. Remember, I'm saying for practice you need to have a lakh rupees, then only consider. And for students, yes, I know some people might find it shocking, but I'll be very blunt and honest over here. The reason is because future and options, there's one simple psychology behind it. They were never meant for normal people. Options were a tool of hedging. And hedging was a concept which was introduced in the early 1900s, late 1900s, because when people started noticing, the big investors, that a 1929 crash happened, which caused the Great Depression, for which 25 years US couldn't develop. So a lot of people thought that big investors who are pooling up so much of money, they would be into big trouble if market falls suddenly. So to hedge those big portfolios, they came up with put options and all those things, options. So options was always meant for bigger capital. What has happened is today, because everybody wants to promote some brokerage house, or even the brokers want to push this thing, it has certainly gone into this thing that everybody needs to do only futures and options. So that's the reason, at least 1 lakh rupees for practice. And if you want to become a full-time trader with future and option, you should have at least a 15 lakh capital in your account for futures and option. And spare, you should have different, backup capital considering wherever you are staying.
With a great amount of experience as well.
Absolutely.
Hmm. And also one more thing, don't get inspired by social media, as 99% of the people are profitable in social media, right?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you. So I just landed with whosoever I was coordinating. I just landed an hour back. So I was shooting a podcast. So there, a person actually asked me the same question that are the bigger traders out there on Instagram, YouTube, and all those things. I remained very candid over there, and I clearly said that podcast might come in a month or so. I clearly said that the real big traders are nowhere to be seen on social media.
Hmm.
The real big traders are busy strategizing their own thing, and that even includes me. I'm not a very big trader. Okay, I'm an educator. I would say I'm a trader who's trying to educate. The bigger ones are not available on Instagram, Twitter. Have you ever seen Jim Simons? And for those people who don't know, Jim Simons is a person who has broken the record of Warren Buffett, sir. 33%, 33 years, 66% CAGR. This is post the commissions. After taking the commissions, he's making 66% CAGR. The reason is why he's not richer than Warren Buffett is because he has limited the capital which he's actually taking into his own funds. So have you ever seen Jim Simons coming on Instagram, dancing on Kacha Badam and showing, just see my yacht? I say, hey guys, come and join me in trading because I did this thing and this is how you can make money. Have you ever seen Paul Tudor Jones coming on Instagram and then saying, Tumhara naam kya, mera naam Joginder, aa jao meri class mein? You would never find this thing. I'm not saying that anybody who is taking sessions, in fact, I take my own sessions, is trying to bluff. But point is, the biggest trader, if you're coming and joining somebody's session thinking, yeah, boss, anybody on Instagram and YouTube is a very big trader, the very reason why I'm attending his session is because he's a big trader, it's all bluff. The core reason why anybody, including me, runs a training is to have an alternate source of income. We know a few things through our experiences we are telling, but the best of the best traders are not available. And that is one of the reasons Radhakishan Dammani doesn't have a social media account. They might be having their own WhatsApp group where they might be chatting, देखो आज इसने क्या बोला उसने क्या बोला, but they don't have a proper official this account. Rakesh Junjunwala sir, he didn't have his own social media account. He had a parody account, but he didn't have his own account. So you got to understand that most of these people, they're not available. They're playing their game, they're strategizing. And for those people who want a bit of inspiration, you just go and check out on a person called BNF. He's Takashi Kotegawa. He's the best trader available in the world. Strangely, this is what I find fascinating on YouTube. Even under my video comments, people keep on debating कि अरे सर ये XYZ इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा ट्रेडर है वो ट्रेडर है अरे बॉस दे मतलब with due respect nobody has achieved those kind of heights. I'm talking about a person, Takashi Kotegawa, on a retail level, he has achieved $1 billion merely by trading. He's a Japanese trader. He's also known as JCOM guy, BNF. So you got to understand, seek inspiration from the right people. And the best of the best traders are not available on social media. You can learn a lot of things, but the best source to learn is to read books. I would still suggest read books. That's the best way.
All right, very nice advice. And as every trader faces some setbacks, right? So have you encountered any significant setback or challenge, and how did you overcome from it?
So multiple. Once in a single day, I've lost 21 lakh rupees, and that was obviously in futures and options. Now I might look into a calm, but please try to understand from this psychology. Okay, a lot of people talk about profits, profits, profits. For you being students, now think from a psychological point of view, because I need to first tell that. For you, this amount could be, oh my God, 21 lakh का तो पैकेज लगता है लोगों को साल भर का एक साल एक दिन में क्या क्या ही ट्रेडर बनेगा तू भाई. But you got to understand, it depends on a net worth level, on a capital level, on an entirely different level. To give you an example, in the year 1992, Amitabh Bachchan lost 92 crore rupees. Amitabh Bachchan, he was on the verge of bankruptcy. For those people who don't know, KBC was the one which actually changed his life. He had been running a company which went under. It was Anil Ambani who suggested that my father, late Dhirubhai Ambani sir, can actually help you out to come out of this debt because they were quite good friends. So now 92 crores for a normal person might sound, oh my God, damn, ye kya hai? But for somebody who has seen maybe 500 crores, now look into the percentage terms. That is relative. So got to understand 21 lakh rupees at that point of time, considering my entire net worth was significant. I wouldn't say it wasn't significant, but it was still at a higher level as compared to where you people are at this point of time. So my 21 lakh rupees could be 21,000 for you. Okay, that is how you need to understand. So why I lost that money, because I had done some analysis on the quarterly results of a lot of tech companies, and I had seen almost 40 to 44 quarters of a particular company which used to post its quarter results, and I was very sure that XYZ, when results happen, this kind of action actually takes place. And what I did is I was insanely into buying of a lot of options considering a particular direction. And to my dismay, that was the very first time that the markets didn't favor me. In the market opening itself, I was expecting a gap up. It did a gap down, and I lost almost whatever I had included. So I had taken a bet of I guess 37, 38 lakh rupees, of which I lost 21 lakh rupees in the market opening itself. The moral of the story is always do a proper position sizing. That is the main moral. If you have 10,000 rupees, please don't put every 10,000 rupees into a share. All those people who tell you that story ना कि अरे वो हमारे गांव के चाचा जी थे, उनके चारों पुश्तियां बिक गई शेयर बाजार में, पैसा लगा के हर्षद मेहता को लगाया था उनने पैसा, उनके 17 पुश्तियां अभी देखो भूखी नंगी पैदा हो रही हैं. All those stories which you actually hear, that is because इनकी सारी पैसे ने एक ही शेयर पे लगा दिया था. अब सारा पैसा, इफ यू आर जस्ट पुटिंग एवरीथिंग इनटू एसीसी, तो एसीसी को तो 16 इयर्स लग गए थे रिकवर होने के लिए आफ्टर हर्षद मेहता. तो ऑब्वियसली यू विल बी इनटू दैट ट्रबल. सेम इफ टुडे यू हैव, let's say, that is why I said at least 1 lakh rupees, because if you have 10,000 rupees, if you're putting everything in options, what you're doing, you're just trying to play a lottery कि ओके कल के गैप अप हो गया तो मैं पैसा बनाएगा, क्या गैप डाउन हो गया. हाँ, इफ यू आर जस्ट डूइंग हिट एंड ट्रायल, or if you are a, if your father is very rich, or you are a papa ka pari, then it is fine, then you have unlimited sources of money, you can definitely do that. But in case that's not the issue, you need to consider that with 10,000 you can actually go for 5 shares. One could be 200 rupees ka, one could be 300 rupees ka, one for 500. Take different position sizing out there. Wherever you have the highest conviction, try to take more shares. Try to do this head and tail. So the major lesson is position sizing is the most important key over here.
Great, sir. Great. And as you said that you also started off in college, right? So, what would you suggest to the beginners who want to do trading and investing and has no background in it, like the roadmap for them, and how would they manage college life and trading with it?
Okay. Second part is difficult, but let me first answer the first one. Okay.
Mhm.
Quick 5 steps for today's generation. First, go through Zerodha Varsity free of cost. Disclaimer: I've not been paid by them. For 3 years, I've been promoting, but Nitin and Nikhil don't pay me anything, anyways. So the first one is read Zerodha Varsity. And read it not for the sake of reading, but read it for the sake of understanding, which means you need to read it twice, thrice, 4 times, whatever this thing. Second, after reading this thing, open a demat account in any broker you feel like, preferably a discount broker. Put 1,500 rupees at max, not more than that, and try to do a hit and trial with this 1,500 rupees with intraday trading, with swing trading, and you need to do it for at least 3 4 months. If 1,500, if you blow up that 1,500, again refill it with 1,500. But please make sure, even if you are blowing, you are there for a decent period of time. What does it mean? That today, if you are putting 1,500 and tomorrow again you are blowing it up, that makes no sense, because then you are not disciplined. At least for the first time, it should last for a month. Okay. Then next time when you're doing, it should last at least for 2 months. The next time when you're doing, so gradually you need to stay into the market. It is more like poker. In poker, if you don't, if you're not having the chips remaining with you, anyways, you can't play the entire game. So you need to have those chips remaining with you. In this case, it should be capital. The second one is you're going with this thing. The third thing is, I wouldn't say completely refrain from social media, because there could be some good elements on social media. Go on social media when you're looking into trading. Please make sure you're not looking into, आज दोस्तों मैंने 5,000 से 50,000 रुपए बना लिए, आज मैंने 10 लाख रुपए बना लिए, दोस्तों मेरी स्ट्रैटेजी आप लगाइए 15 लाख बन जाएंगे, अमिताभ बच्चन से भी ज्यादा अमीर बन जाएंगे. प्लीज डोंट गो फॉर दोस काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजीज. दे आर जस्ट गोइंग टू एट द एंड पूरा अमिताभ बच्चन का बनाने के बाद, और दोस्तों अगर पूरी स्ट्रैटेजी जाननी है तो लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाके ज्वाइन कीजिए. प्लीज डोंट डू दैट. सो instead of that, try to understand the psychological aspect in the sense, there are Mark Douglas videos out there. Mark Douglas, who's his master in psychology. Just try to look into that 1.5 hours ka session. There is one channel called Tasty Trades. Tasty Trades actually talks about a lot of option trading strategies. Just go and try to understand what these people are trying to talk about. Adam Co. Now, some people might feel offended कि अरे भाई स्वदेशी वन हिंदी वाले चैनल्स बता, इंग्लिश वाले क्यों बना रहा है. But the reason is because these people are actually providing quality. So I'm not trying to do Swadeshi or Videshi. Adam Co, Rainer Tio, these people are actually trying to provide quality. So that is what. Then if you want to understand from an economic point of view, Ray Dalio. Who better than Ray Dalio? Ray Dalio, for those people who don't know, he is the owner of Bridgewater House. Bridgewater House is the biggest hedge fund. For those people who don't know how much his hedge funds makes, वो साल का ज्यादा नहीं, खुद अकेला 6-7 हजार करोड़ कमाता है कैश में. 7-8 हजार करोड़. यू गैस कैन गेस 7-8 हजार करोड़ में आप लोग क्या कमा सकते हो. लास्ट में ओनली लगा देता हूँ. सो यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड, यू कैन लर्न फ्रॉम दीज पीपल. ही कैन एक्चुअली, he talks about, he has a wonderful book called Principles, which doesn't talk about normal stock markets, but you follow these kind of people. So that should be the third step. And now the fourth step should be coming out of 4 or 5 months. Fourth step should be, need to start doing hit and try. Now, because I'm taking this particular session for IIT students, I'll give you that you guys have an advantage. What is that advantage? If you guys are decent in quants, please at some point of time, plus if you are good at, because you guys are good in thinking from a systematic point of view, that is one of the reasons why you have cracked an IIT. Okay, why a lot of people appear for an IIT exam and they're not able to crack, because you probably have more analytical mind. Not trying to differentiate, I'm not just trying to say that IIT is a superior, but yes, this is the reality. You have a decent analytical mind. So what you guys can do is, eventually the entire world has to move towards automation. So you got to understand that eventually you can move towards algo trading. So this should be your main point. So try to learn languages like Python. Now, since I'm not a tech person, very first time when my developer said कि sir Python बनाते हैं, I used to think वो कोई सांप होगा. मैंने बोला सांप का क्या लेना देना? And he explained, no, Python is this and that. मैंने बोला अच्छा, okay, fine, you work on that. So try to work around all those things. Try to develop something on your own, and automation and algo would be your edge. And IITians can actually do really good over there. So work on that. And fifth, if you guys certainly towards the end of your classes, if you get really passionate about trading, please go and join some prop desk. And if you really want to make that kind of money, which on Instagram we called FUCK money, in that kind of case, you should actually go to United States of America, do your post graduation, and try to join a hedge fund. That's the key to that kind of money.
All right.
And to your second part, in colleges, it's very difficult to manage your trading. I can understand. If you are not getting decent time, please switch to swing trading. So do all your analysis on swing and cash trading, where you can actually buy some shares, hold it for a week or two, so that even when sessions are going on again and again, you don't need to see कि भाई मेरे kite app पे अरे market गिर गया, market ऊपर गया, not to worry. Just do swing trades. That is the key.
Okay. So the first basic thing is for the beginners is start with swing trading.
Correct. Correct.
So the next question we got from audience is like very basic question. What resources, books or mentors have had the most significant influence on your approach of trading and psychology?
Okay, so the books I would quickly recommend you, which had helped me a lot: Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Then Mark Douglas had written two books: The Disciplined Trader and the Trading in the Zone. These were
Trading.
two books, Trading in the Zone. And there was one more, Jay Murphy's Technical Analysis, and the fourth one was Steve Nielsen's Japanese Candlestick. These were the most prominent books which played an important role. Mentor, to be very honest, because I come from an era where we didn't have a lot of people, access to a lot of people, because I wasn't there in Bombay. Only people who were primarily from Bombay, because Bombay was in the closest vicinity of Bombay Stock Exchange, they got an upper hand out there. So other than that HSBC teacher, yes. So once I was there into an event, I had a broken leg, but I somehow wanted to compete with IIM graduates. So I actually went to SP Gen for an event. Fortunately, I got a second prize over there. So one of the judges was a person working in BSc. So that person actually gave me a lot of insights about, okay, this is exactly what works out into the market. This doesn't. He didn't teach me anything about technicals or something, but in general, I mean, trying to break a few myths that, a lot of people think that whatever has been shown on the TV is the reality, whatever is coming on the screen is the reality, but that isn't. So I got to know about a few things. So I would say that kind of my mistakes were my biggest mentor so far. And the resources in terms, I would say it was primarily these books only. So I read a couple of books out there. I was really inspired by one of my college professors, because he used to read a lot of books. Even at the age of 80, you could see a book into his hand. So that is something which inspired me, pumped in that, okay, I should actually read books, because YouTube, as I mentioned in the start of the session, YouTube wasn't a prominent thing. But in today's time, I guess you guys, if you're smart enough, you're selective enough to scan through good YouTube channels and something which resonates with your personality, then I guess that can solve a problem. But that is a very difficult task to do in first. Yeah.
Very rightly said. And the next question is from Harsh, and he is asking, can you share any personal finance advice for individuals looking to achieve financial stability in long-term financial goals? Those who know trading and those who don't know trading, both of them, for both of them.
Simple, I would say that the very big mistake which a lot of people do is taking a lot of loans and borrowings. You need to understand that's the biggest problem of today's era: credit cards, loans, and borrowings. That is something, as much as, so credit card is meant for those people who don't need a credit card. What does that mean? It simply means that anybody who has the capacity to pay on time is the one who should really own a credit card. But strangely, those people who have a salary of let's say 60,000, they are opening up a limit of 1,50,000, and then they get into trouble. So that is the first one. The first personal lesson which I have learned so far in my journey is anybody who got into this field of borrowing is into deep trouble. The second personal finance thing would be think from a longer term perspective, and not just in terms of investing, from every investing. When you guys are young, so I was reading this book, Psychology of Money. I'm pretty sure some of you might have also read this thing. So
Mhm.
there's one interesting anecdote written over there, which I must inform over here. When you see a Lamborghini over the road, after looking into that Lamborghini, you don't say that यार इसका ओनर कितना गजब है. All you say is यार क्या Lamborghini लग रही है. So we all are actually striving to, soothe our own egoistic material. I always say, and this is something which even Kunal Shah, Cred founder, also says. He's also invested in one of the companies where I also invested. So Kunal Shah also rightly says, even I say that our country is more towards a status-driven society than a wealth-driven society. हमारे इधर हमको आईएएस इसलिए बनना है क्योंकि अच्छी लड़की मिल जाती है, दैट नथिंग एल्स. पावर है तो अच्छी लड़की मिल जाएगी. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज इंस्टेड ऑफ स्टेटस ड्रिवन सोसाइटी, स्टेटस का ही तो खेल है. पड़ोसी ने अगर ले ली है मारुति 800, तो हमको तो उससे बड़ी गाड़ी लेनी पड़ेगी, हम ऑल्टो लेंगे. पड़ोसी ने अगर गलती से मर्सिडीज ले ली तो हम उधार लेंगे, लेकिन हम उससे बड़ी लेंगे. तो प्रॉब्लम इज दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू लुक into these directions. I'm not saying it is completely wrong. If that really gives you happiness, only then own it. Otherwise, it's better to avoid owning this thing. And to be honest, I'll tell you, when I was into college now, I'll just share one of my experiences. My entire life's goal was saving account में 1 करोड़ रुपए जिस दिन आ गया मैं तो चिल्ड हूँ. उसके बाद तो लाइफ पूरी सेट है. बिकॉज बेस्ड ऑन माई मैथ्स, कंसिडरिंग ऑल द एक्सपेंसेस एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स, आई वाज लाइक कि इट विल टेक 25 years for me to save that kind of money. And because obviously expenses would be also there, na? Whatever income we are making, there would be expenses, there would be other things. You need to buy assets, you need to buy a house and all those things. And I was like, उसके बाद तो chill रहेंगे. With God's grace, somehow I achieved it quite quickly. But you know what happens after you achieve the first 1 crore? It's all a number game. Then I shifted to चलो अब 3 करोड़ करते हैं, फिर 5 करोड़ करते हैं. And sadly, it is not ending. And beyond a certain time, I would say it's just numbers. Unless you are somebody who really wants to buy a Ducati every month, if you don't want to buy a Hayabusa every second month, if you don't want to have an international trip every second week, because even if you are having a decent corpus, you can easily have an international trip twice or thrice in a year, which seems decent to me. I mean, there would be a few people, नहीं 3 बार इंटरनेशनल ट्रिप में क्या होता है, हमको तो हर महीने जाना है, तो भैया ट्रैवल ब्लॉगर बन जाओ. तो सिंपल सी बात है कि द पॉइंट इज you need to first, the best thing is try to understand the difference between asset and liability. Well, that is what I was trying to say, which even Rich Dad Poor Dad says. Second, please don't run behind a lot of materialistic this thing. I might sound like a philosopher, but let me tell you, once you start making money and once you have a decent money in your account, then you obviously become a philosopher. So आप लोगों के भी अकाउंट में जब पैसा आएगा, आप भी philosopher बन जाओगे. This is the reality check. So that is the second thing. Third thing you got to understand in personal finance, please understand the taxation system in our country. That's very important. I'll give you a very simple thing. A lot of people don't understand that why rich individuals have trustees. Do you know? I'll tell you a quick fact. The wealthy people, they don't own possessions. They control the possessions. How do they do it? तो उनको पता है कि if they are owning a lot of things in their own names, that will create a lot of liability. Tomorrow, let's say an income tax raid happens, everything would be seized. Anything would happen, let's say, and enforcement agency actually comes, everything can be confiscated. They form trust. They form a lot of foundations. We all feel कि अरे कितना charitable इंसान है. Nothing. They're just attaching their assets so that it is not under the name, but they are controlling everything. When on the screen we say, यार मुकेश अंबानी तो 1 रुपए सैलरी ले रहा है, ये तो देव मानुस है. वो 1 रुपए सैलरी ले रहा है, बदले में वो डिविडेंड्स हर साल जो उसकी कंपनी पे करती है, उससे 600-700 करोड़ कमा रहा है. तो भाई आप वो 1 रुपए मत देखो, वो 600-700 करोड़ का डिविडेंड भी तो कमा ले रहा है. सो गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड द टैक्सेशन सिस्टम, अंडरस्टैंड हाउ दीज थिंग्स वर्क. वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड, दैट इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस. एज एन इंडिविजुअल आई टेल यू, लेट्स से hypothetically we are assuming that Jolish over here, or let's say Pallav over here, they get a package of let's say 1 crore rupees. Now 1 crore rupees, first of all, in whenever you get placed from a college, that's the biggest jumla, because that is a CTC, cost to company, that is not in hand. So it would be having a breakup that you will get 50 lakh rupees. Then if you work your ass off for 17 hours, then you will get another this thing. What do we call another 20 lakh? If you're staying with the company for 5 years, 10 lakh you will get. And for that, you need to achieve this target. You need to make that company a $1 billion company. So all those things. But anyways, let's say you get a 1 crore package, and the net you're getting around 50 lakh, 60 lakh. Do you know with the existing tax bracket, you will end up paying almost 16, 17 lakh as taxes only out of that. 16, 17 lakh will go like taxes. And that is one of the reasons it's very important to understand the taxation system out here. It's very important. So these were
Right.
the three: asset liability, avoid borrowings, and the third thing is, and avoid borrowings also means don't borrow and trade. That is also important, and
Mm.
invest. Yeah,
Same thing Elon Musk also says, who is an inspiration for many. He doesn't get salary. He takes from the options.
exactly. So rich people have their own ways. They have
Hmm.
devised their own ways to make money. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next question, and it is a very interesting one. What are some misconceptions or myths about trading that you believe need to be debunked, and what is BT chat?
Ah, somebody has seen
BT
my
chat.
videos. Okay,
Yes, sir.
somebody has seen my podcast also. Anyway, so to answer the first part, three myths which needs to be debunked at this point of time. First, trading is easy money. No, it isn't. Yes, 95% people lose money, but the sample size keeps on increasing. Think from this perspective. A few years back, there were 50 lakh people trading, so 5% of 50 lakh would be less. Today, if there are 3 crore active traders, the 5% would be different. And this 5% will never change. Only the sizes will keep on increasing. So at one point of time, there will be 10 crore active participants, and 5% of it would be a bigger number. So first thing is, it's not easy money. It's not that easy as people say. Second, a lot of people think that once I make XYZ amount of money in trading, then I'll take a retirement. It never happens.
Hmm.
It will never happen. Okay. The third biggest myth I would say which we need to debunk is that intraday trading is the fastest way of making money. It is the fastest way of losing money. It is the fastest way of losing money. The earlier you try to understand. See, when we are young now, and that includes me also, I'm not that old. So when we are young, we have that adrenaline rush. And we love to take risks in our life because we think that क्या रखा है जीवन में
Hmm.
must मतलब just you guys can correlate with yourself also. I mean, why? So each one of us knows that we shouldn't be eating a pizza because it's not good for health, burger. But यार यही तो life है, यही जीवन है, अभी नहीं खाएंगे तो कब खाएंगे, and all those things. We know all these things are bad. We do these things. So same in trading. When you are fairly young, you have this adrenaline rush that बॉस इंट्राडे में 5x करके दुनिया नहीं कर पाई तो क्या होगा, मैं करके बताऊंगा. But being math students, being IITians, you need to understand you should work with statistics and probabilities. When the statistics and probabilities itself is saying that odds are against you, why to directly jump into it? I'm not trying to demotivate people from going into intraday trade, but जो चीज आपको 6 साल बाद समझ में आएगी वो मैं आज समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. As simple as that. So that is the biggest myth. Then you must be thinking that why so many people are advocating on YouTube that you should do a lot of intraday trade and all. सेम ब्रोकरेज की मनी बनती है, ट्रेनिंग्स उसमें सबसे ज्यादा बिकेगी, एवरीबॉडी इज टेम्प्टेड टुवर्ड्स मेकिंग क्विक मनी, एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द रीजंस. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट आई डोंट डू इंट्राडे ट्रेड. I do intraday trades, but if of 20 trading sessions I'm doing it only for 5 or 6 sessions. That's the difference. How many people will have that discipline that we need to stick for just 6 days and then rest of the days we are not going to trade? So these are the three big myths which need to be debunked. And talking about BT chart, so BT is Bloomberg Terminal Chart. Bloomberg Terminal is something which is possessed by some of the biggest investors in this entire planet. The fees per month is not more than 2.5 lakh rupees per month. The installation charges won't go more than 20-30 lakhs. The turnover of your company needs to be more than 8 crores or 12 crores, something like that. You get the access to the best of the best minds. So what happens is whenever big investors want to do any sort of deals, so their quantities are quite huge. So if Pallav was taking 5,000 quantities of Yes Bank, these people would be with 5 lakh quantities of Yes Bank. So if somebody wants to deploy a 5 lakh wala thing, obviously once they punch the order, there would be significant differences in the prices. So what they do is even prior entering, they put this thing in a BT chat. So BT chat is a WhatsApp kind of services for rich kind of people, rich investors. So let's say Pallav wants to sell, I want to buy, let's say 5 lakh quantities. On BT chat, Pallav is going to put, boss, I want to sell 5 lakh. I would say that, okay, no, I see some potential in Yes Bank. I will buy. So the block and bulk deals easily happen over a BT chat. So BT chat is WhatsApp for rich investors in a nutshell. Yeah.
Hmm. They are busy on BT chat. That's why they are not on Instagram or anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Uh, how does emotion comes into play?
See, human beings are emotional fools, and who better than young lads like you would understand? You know, a girl doesn't pick up your phone, and then you suddenly go, "कि आज मैं अपनी नस काट लूंगा." Then, so this is because you're an emotional fool. Your boyfriend doesn't talk to you for 3 days, and you become tense. यार मैं exam में fail हो गई. What is that? That is, we all are emotional fools, and we can't change. That's how human brains have been wired. So emotions are the biggest reason why a lot of people fail in trading, and that is one of the reasons why algorithmic systems or automation is very important. Machines should take charge because machines are devoid of emotions. And that is where AI and all those things will actually come into picture. They don't have emotions. You just give them instructions and they're going to simply replicate the same thing. So emotions are the biggest culprit, but two, three ways through which you can actually not control but try to soothe your emotions. One is whenever you have a conflict with your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, or husband or family member, please don't trade on those days. You won't be in the right mental state. Whenever you are into this kind of state, please try to practice mindfulness. It could be meditation, it could be gymming, it could be walking, it could be talking to some good friend, it could be listening to soothing music. Try to do those things. These will help to release endorphins. Endorphins are good hormones which are going to help out your brains. That's the second thing. And third way to master emotions is to learn from the experienced people. And the book which I referred, Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, is something which can help you out in that.
All right, all right. So, again, moving to the next question. Given your extensive experience, what do you believe the future holds in the financial market and how should people be prepared for it?
So the first thing is most of the things will get automated. Discretionary will have its own advantage, but there would be only few people who would be able to master that. Just to note, I'm still majorly a discretionary player. I have my own reasons. I'm a risk taker, so I'm a discretionary player because my thing works in the game of probability. So if I'm considering a 30-year span of professional trading, I'm considering then in that 30 years, even if for let's say 2 years here, then 2 years here, and then if 15 years I'll be in loss, the rest 15 years I'm going to hit so hard that my strike rate and my scoring would be much much higher. So I'm a risk taker. I still prefer in discretionary system trading, but that would be future. 95% of the trades are actually taking place through algorithmic trading. That's number one. The next future would be that the participation into the market. I mean, this might sound a little strange. The participation in the market would take some more time to increase, maybe 3 4 years. For those people who don't know, currently the participation in the market is around 3%.
Hmm.
Between 2000, no, between 1997 to 2000, the participation was 13%. That time it was higher. That is one of the reasons for anybody who actually sees a crash and they don't turn back to the market for maybe a decade or so. Okay,
Hmm.
so you got to understand that the participation would require some time. Why? Because of multiple reasons. First, regulations have become a little stricter. Second, the margins have reduced. See, we used to get good amount of margins. I will say yes, I was lucky because we were getting this margin. Today, you're just getting 5x or 4x. Even if you're
Hmm.
doing option selling with margin hedging, you're not getting significant amount of exposure out there. So that is another problem. So margins are less, regulations have been little stricter. So this somehow, see, whenever you are trying to hold something really tightly, na, the attractiveness of that particular segment actually fades for a while. So it will take some time. The third thing is AI will come into the picture, but that is not going to replace human beings. A lot of people think that AI in stock market is going to replace human beings. No, that will just add on to the thing. So for example, your analysis, which initially used to take hours and hours, would happen in 5 minutes, but ultimately it would be you who will be the decision maker. Because if AIs actually start taking decisions, it wouldn't help because humans are complex in nature.
Hmm.
दुनिया की कोई भी चीज आज तक ह्यूमन ब्रेन को अच्छे से समझ नहीं पाई है सो इट्स नॉट दैट इजी सो ह्यूमंस कैनॉट बी रिप्लेस यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड सो डोंट बी वेरी fearful about AI but yes repeated things will be replaced by AI in stock markets. AI will enhance the performances but at the end algo trading is something which is going to be the future.
And the change in timings of that trading time, that morning session and evening session, will that affect the algo traders?
It would because algo traders have actually done all their backtesting based on
Right.
a
The
6 hour,
morning
7 hour
sessions only.
window. Yes.
Hmm.
So now obviously when it would change, the data sets would change. But you know, people are very smart. Human beings are complex yet smart. So it would be a matter of 1.5 2 years. For those people who don't know, in 1992, early 90s, the market used to open it for 2 hours. People
Hmm.
thought that, oh, how would we adjust when it was announced for 4 hours? Then it opened for 4 hours. Then people said, oh my God, how people will manage for 6 hours. Then it opened for 6, 7 hours. And now it might open for 12 hours. So we simply adopt. Starting में हंगामा करते अरे ये वो because we are not habituated of changes, but ultimately we adapt with changes.
Hmm. One thing will be very good that we don't need to check gift nifty 2 बजे रात में उठ के.
That तो anyways you shouldn't be doing that. Makes no sense. If you have taken a position, let's say long लिया हुआ है और गिफ्ट निफ्टी दिखा रहा है पूरा मार्केट नीचे
Hmm.
है, तो अब देखो अगले दिन लॉस तो होना ही है, तो नींद क्यों खराब
Correct.
कर रहे हो? अगले दिन की नींद ऐसे ही खराब होने वाली, एक दिन तो सो जाओ.
Hmm. Okay, okay. In your opinion, what are the most important factors to consider when evaluating a stock for investment?
Now, this is a very subjective matter. Fundamental analysis a lot of places, but a quick check. Make sure that they are not having a lot of pledging. Make sure they are not into a lot of debt. Yes, some businesses are debt oriented, like banking systems and NBFCs, but there are different parameters. So when you are talking about banks, you need to look into NIM. When you are looking into telecom, you need to look into ARPU. So there are different parameters, different set of parameters which you need to look. Third, look into the promoter. I always say don't bet on the horse, bet on the jockey. I sound like Saif Ali Khan of race, but this is the reality that at the end it is the promoter who is going to pull the company. If the promoter is shady, if you see that he's very flamboyant, if you see that continuously he's into news for wrong reasons, continuous. See, sometimes obviously allegations have taken place, then you try to avoid those things. Also look around that industry moat. Moat is something which is a specialization in which that industry commands. I'll tell you one of my stories. I hope you guys would be keen to know because that would help you out an investing story. So, around 2014 or 16, I'd invested into a stock which is costing 6,000 rupees. My friend said that अरे इतना expensive है क्यों डाल रहा है? And that was none other than Nestle. The
Oh.
reason I had actually put up my money was not because only because Nestle was good, because at that point of time, a story had actually come that lead has been found in Maggie, and
Hmm.
Yuppie was coming with an ad that हमारे इसमें lead नहीं है, हमारे माँ के
Hmm.
लिए सुरक्षा है, ऐसा करके they were coming with this kind of taunts and ads. What I saw was that Nestle has a lot of cash. Second thing, I saw that they have a lot of international backing. They have a lot of good products. The main advantage which I saw at that point of in Nestle was I didn't believe much on Nestle as compared to how much I believed on India. So India has a very good superpower, which I could predict in 2014 and 16. I have been proven right, and that is the power of reproduction. We, in terms of population, no one could beat us, and I had full faith. So then you would think that then why I considered Nestle, because Nestle produces one product which every household actually gives to their kids, and that's called Cerelac. I
Correct.
said मैगी खत्म भी हो गई, Cerelac तो खत्म नहीं होना है, because
Hmm.
irrespective of whatever you do, Cerelac तो चलता ही है. Then I go on the streets, I find students buying Maggie for black. I mean 10
Hmm.
rupee Maggie they are buying for 100 rupees. भैया खाना तो मैगी खाना है, यपी नहीं खाना है. And
Hmm.
sorry if there are any Yappy fans sitting over here, sorry to offend you, but I don't think so. Yappy's taste is that great. So, Ghoom Firke, I did all those maths, and today, if I see, just this is called the scuttlebutt method, where you just do a common sense analysis. And what I realized is, without even looking into that portfolio, the only time I look into that portfolio is when auditor says, "Sir, अब tax और ज़्यादा भरना पड़ेगा." That is the
Hmm.
only time when I actually look into this thing, and I realized that. Merely by sitting on this thing without even watching this thing, my investment is free of cost because of the dividends which it has given, and it keeps on riding. I guess it's already if you splits bonuses and everything, I'm already sitting at and plus dividends, I'm already sitting at 5x out there without doing anything. So my
Hmm.
point is that a lot of time common sense is more helpful into the stock markets. If it was only about analytical skills, then all the Stanford and Harvard people would have been the richest people in the stock markets. That's not the reality. So that's the third thing. So pledging less, less debt, good cash flow, good moat. This is basically Nestle's moat. That's why a lot of people cannot enter into this market easily. In paints, Asian Paint is the biggest multi-bagger. A lot of paint companies have tried to enter into that segment, but still today, when Diwali comes, we either prefer Asian Paints or we are prefer now Indigo Paints has come and Berger Paint is there, but otherwise still the first preference is Asian Paints. So look for moat that is going to work out. And the final thing which I actually look around is a promoter, which I said. So these are a few quick checklists which I would say that you need to look for.
All right. And As you said, diversification is important. So, how important is diversification in an investment portfolio? And how do you decide which assets to choose and what all to do?
So diversification is very important. Putting all eggs into one basket is of no sense because you might end up losing all the money. But diversification, over diversification is not good because that becomes diversification, diversification.
Mhm.
So you need to come up with a normal subset. I would say to start off with five stocks is a decent if you just want to build up stocks. Even mutual funds, you need not to go with 10 mutual funds. Interesting thing is 75% of the mutual funds are the same constituents. So why do you keep on diversifying in the same mutual funds? Just take two good mutual funds, three good mutual funds, you are good to go. Why, even in different categories, take a small cap fund, take a hybrid fund, and take an index fund. That's it. That's good to go. You have already covered everything. Even if you want to go for tax segment, ELSS, just one ELSS is good to go. Why keep on diversifying on that? Because you won't be able to track all those things. So first of all, keep that many stocks which you can track. And in terms of asset classes, let's say you want to do this thing, please follow a formula called core satellite portfolio. Quickly telling you. So in core satellite portfolio, what does it say? That 70% of your assets should be into safer instruments, which you think that you can continue to hold for a longer period of time. So this 70% of your portfolio should have what? It should have probably some real estate, good real estate, if you have decent money. It should have blue chip mutual fund. It should have index fund. It should have core Nifty 50 stocks. That's it. The rest 30%, which is called the satellite, should be your Jua place. It should be
Mm.
FNO. It should be small cap stock.
Small cap.
It should be Dogecoin, crypto. So this 30% is like even if you end up losing this 30%, your entire portfolio won't be affected. So if
Mm.
you try to form, the problem is a lot of people they don't understand the core satellite portfolio and they make an entire portfolio 100% Dogecoin. So as long
Mm.
as Elon Musk is tweeting, people are making money. The moment he said Dogecoin gaya khatam, everybody is Om Bhat Swaha. So got to understand that it should be that only 30%. So that even if you lose that amount, and that 30%, entire 30% shouldn't be in Dogecoin. That depends on the risk parameters which you guys are actually having. But that 30% should be mixed into okay, 10% into small cap, which you feel that okay, this can become a blue chip in the near future. So this will give me a 100x a multi-bagger kind of return. Then 10% into some cryptos, some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and this thing. And then the rest 10%, in case you start making decent money, could be into startups. So for example, my investments into total startups, so I've invested into 11 startups. So my net worth's almost, I would say 8% or 9% is into startups and 3% is into crypto. So I would say this is kind of my satellite portfolio. I'm like, okay, fine. इतना जाएगा गलती से चले भी गए because startup investing is also small cap investing only. All are
Mm.
not going to perform. I also know most of them might fail. I'm very selective anyways. So my thing is even if three actually function out really well, so one of them is functioning well. I don't name my startup. So one of them has an ambassador MS Dhoni also in that where I'd invested in an early stage. So I'm like यार धोनी है तो फिर तो ठीक है धोनी भी ऐसे ही थोड़ी आएगा and moreover it is doing decent. So that's there. Another one is also backed by Nitin, Nikhil, then Kunal Shah, and all those people. So there I'm actually banking upon their research. मैंने उस पर ज्यादा डीप रिसर्च भी
Mm.
नहीं किया मैंने बोला जब इतने लोगों ने इतने बड़ी बड़ी टीम बिठा के करी हुई है अपन क्यों इतना दिमाग लगाएंगे थोड़ा बहुत बेसिक पैरामीटर्स में देख लिया मैंने बोला अब इतनी मेहनत करी अब इतनी मेहनत हम नहीं करेंगे तो आई एम जस्ट बैंकिंग अपॉन दिस थिंग आई टोल्ड यू आई एम जस्ट राइडिंग अपॉन द जॉकी rather than the horse so
Mm.
this is how your portfolio should be constructed.
राइट राइट एंड स्मॉल कैप का ऐसे ही अगर चला तो राकेश झुंझुनवाला सर का टाइटन बन जाएगा, नहीं चला तो खत्म ही हो जाएगा।
Exactly. So that's what 10% 20% से ज्यादा मत लगो small cap में.
जी। And one more question regarding risk management, that how do you manage risk in your trading strategy? Is it indicator based or price action based or support resistance, on what is it?
It is percentage based, as simple as that.
All.
Support resistance obviously plays an important role, but it is percentage based. अगर मैं 100 रुपए लगा रहा हूँ तो मैं कितना नुकसान कर सकता हूँ? Now, the biggest myth into the market is 1% theory. यार, when you are
Mhm.
doing an FNO, 1% तो वो एक मिनट में ऊपर नीचे हो जाता है. So you can't actually manage that 1% irrespective of how much capital you are actually using. So everyone will have a different set of rules. For me, it is a different set of because I'm a high risk trader. So for me, it would be different. For general masses, I would say don't risk more than 5%. That should be the max key. I'm not saying 1%, 2%, but don't risk more than 5% is something because the easiest way is anything which can give you a sleepless night, that is where you need to stop. If you feel
Mhm.
that यार 15% भी चलेगा मेरी रात की नींद नहीं खराब होगी लो भाई किसने रोका हुआ है for people who don't know राकेश जी Rakeshji's risk appetite was completely different. His risk appetite, we are talking about 1 or 5%, his risk appetite used to be 60%. How? So, 1988, there was a budget which was supposed to come, 88 or 87, 88. So, during at that point of time, all he had made at that point of time was close to 1 crore. He had put entire 1 crore towards that budget. Hero zero वाला जो बोलते हैं.
Hmm.
Thankfully, that worked out into his favor, and he made close to, I guess, 8 crores or 9 crores. But then, if it wouldn't have worked out, he would have lost 60 lakh in a single day. So just imagine that's the kind of risk that gentleman was taking. So everybody have a different risk appetite, and strategies would differ. But ultimately, on a technical front, it would be support and resistance, demand and supply for everybody, irrespective of whatever you're using. That would be the way you're going to define on a technical front.
Okay. Okay. And for long-term investing, how do you manage your risks?
Yeah, देखो long term investing में I'm investing into business. Business would obviously take some time, 2 to 3 years over there.
Hmm.
Until unless there is a corporate governance issue, until
Hmm.
unless my original thesis has changed. So let's take an example. I'm investing into a company because they're good in logistics. Now
Hmm.
suddenly after 2 years, that logistic company announced that भाई हम लोग घुस रहे हैं मीडिया में. Now
Hmm.
logistic company may not have an expertise in media. I would be the first one to exit that company. This is precisely a mistake which a lot of people in Kingfisher did. Kingfisher was good at something which you guys might be consuming in the night after party. I don't know if you do or not, but that is something which they were specialized into. They were number 5 into the entire world. But certainly they thought that no, no, हमको अब कैलेंडर में भी आना है. फिर उसके बाद they decided हमको हवाई जहाज भी उतारना है. Now हवाई जहाज is not an expertise for somebody who is good in making lemon juices and whatever juices they were
Hmm.
making. So one they needed to understand. So the moment they actually changed their business model, people should have exited out there. So this is what one needs to. So if original thesis is changing, I exit. Or if there are corporate governance issue, even though it would be a loss, I'll exit because I know once the corporate governance issues have started. So DHFL gave a lot of people an opportunity. After going to 450, it came down to 250. There were people who could have exited at 250. They kept on sitting till it was delisted. Same with
Hmm.
Yes Bank. Yes Bank had given an opportunity at 80, 90 also for people to exit. But then
Hmm.
there were some people who got stuck at 16 also. Then then there Suzlon. Suzlon is a classic
Hmm.
example. Suzlon, a lot of people got an opportunity in 2008, 2009. It was quoting at 3 digits as well. A lot of people could have exited. They didn't exit. DLF, it has been 14 years. DLF has not even achieved its initial level. DLF was quoting at 1200 rupees. इतने साल हो गए वो 300 400 के ऊपर नहीं जा पा रहा 300 400 भी अब गए जस्ट इमेजिन रिवर्स कंपाउंडिंग नोबडी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट एवरीवन इन इंस्टाग्राम इज टॉकिंग अबाउट दोस्तों अगर आज आपने 10,000 रुपए लगाए होते 25 साल तक रखते तो आप इतने करोड़पति बन जाते नोबडी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट अगर 25 साल पहले आपने आरकॉम आर पावर पे लगाया होता वीडियोकॉन पे लगाया होता तो आपके पास जो पैसा बचा था वो भी नहीं बचता आप सड़क पे आ जाते नोबडी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट सो
Hmm.
diversification is important and corporate governance the moment issue arises just try to exit.
Okay. Okay. And how do you access the impact of global economic events and geopolitical factors on your trading decision?
On trading decisions, see, I'm more of a bear, so I enjoy whenever there
Hmm.
is political turmoil. I'm always happy to initiate shots. On investing, I become happy because these are the opportunities. देखो पैसा दिवाली में नहीं बनता है पैसा दिवाली में बनता है इन द सेंस जब
Hmm.
मार्केट गिर रहा होगा ना तभी पैसा बनता है प्रॉब्लम इज पीपल आर वेटिंग फॉर दिवाली एंड देन दे आर बाइंग हाई एंड देन दे एक्सपेक्ट टू सेल हाई the real
Hmm.
money would be made. So, for example, as of now, when we are actually trying to talk about this thing, I think on my Instagram we have what community or something, I guess, a feature. So
Yes.
there itself, I had actually mentioned that when markets were around 19,900, yeah, 19,800, 19,900, I have exited almost 60-70% of the position. I'm not saying that markets may not go further up. टाइम लाइक मैं खुश हूँ भैया जितना कमा लिया उस साल का हो गया है मेरे हिसाब से देन आई वाज जस्ट वेटिंग कि कब ये 19,000 के नीचे आए थोड़ा सा मैंने अभी डाला देन अगेन आई वेट एज ऑफ नाउ एज वी स्पीक इट इज अराउंड 19,400 300
Hmm.
तो दिवाला जब रहेगा तब पैसा बनेगा ना आप एकदम टॉप पे लगोगे तो कहां से पैसा बनेगा टॉप पे लगोगे तो आपको और ऊपर बेचना पड़ेगा द
Hmm.
बेटर वन इज यू नीड टू बाय एट द लोअर प्राइसेस या
करेक्ट. करेक्ट. आपके तो ट्विटर पे भी लिखा है बेयर ट्रेडर एंड बुल इन्वेस्टर.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली
Next question. How do you stay updated and adapt to the ever changing financial market, and how do others do the same?
just stick to basics. ET padhiye, Economic Times is one key area which can actually help you out. Hindu Business Line is also decent. Honestly, over the years, over the last 11 and a half years, I've read a lot of newspapers, I've seen a lot of television channels. Let me tell you bluntly, everybody has a bias.
Hmm.
everybody is trying to push their own biases. They might be getting paid by some investors. They might be getting paid by the mutual fund houses. You never know. And everybody will try to punch in. I still remember, and during cryptos, there were certain newspapers who were just pushing some random cryptos. Ki, this is the next future. This is the next future. Now they're delisted. They're nowhere to be seen in Binance or something. Nobody is talking about that. Those were pushed agendas. And to remain updated, I guess these are the two areas. Economic Times is one of the best places to remain updated. That is what I would actually suggest everybody to go for.
All right. Regarding cryptos, you said. So, with the increasing popularity of cryptos, what are your thoughts in the role of future of financial investments?
Okay, so this is something which I firmly believe. If you're not expert in anything, don't give a lot of gyan. So whatever I've done, because 2-3% I've allocated. So my only intent why I allocated 2-3% into crypto, which is also into loss. I don't even watch this thing. I recently opened because it has recovered decently my bitcoins. So that is why I had actually checked because I saw on the news that Bitcoin is rising. So my thing is cryptocurrency se pehle the future is blockchain. I'm betting on the technology more than the currency part. A lot of people got very inspired by the currency part, but I think blockchain is what is going to be the future because decentralization is what people would be looking for in the future. The second thing is in crypto, I always felt right from the starting that a lot of the shit coins won't survive. Well, just imagine somebody making a meme and that becomes a coin, and then people are thinking that okay, we are going to make a lot of money. How the hell you're going to make money? That doesn't have any intrinsic value out there. But I preferred my allocations more on Bitcoin, Ethereum because they had some utility. So I looked around if there is some sort of utility, it is better. So my allocation was there. But other than that, in the rest 1%, I had almost 35 cryptos. I still had, of which 2, 3 are already delisted. Now you would ask why these 35? These are all crazy kind of things. The only reason why it got those 35 is in case any one of those becomes thousands times or 2000 times in the next 5-10 years in somebody's marriage, I will go and just try to brag in front of 10 people कि देखा मैंने उस समय पे पैसा लगाया था 1000 गुना हो गया. That's the only reason why I devoted. But 1% is something worth taking risk. I would say in India it is very difficult considering the taxation system which has been imposed over the cryptos. Until and unless that is not waived off, I don't think so. People should actually stick around cryptos for a very long period of time. Taxation is very bad in the crypto.
Also, it is very much news based. कुछ भी हो जाता है वो नाचने लगता है.
Exactly, exactly. So if even if you want to take some exposure, take in the good ones. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic is also decent. These are a few
Right.
which you can actually look for.
Right, right. Now we will take some quick questions from the Q&A section here.
Cool.
Is historical data from have any significance in predicting the future price?
Yes, history doesn't repeat, history rhymes. What does it mean? You're not going to get the exact amount of history always happening, but it is going to rhyme in the sense you will get some similar action. So somebody who was in 2008, that person realized that yes, if there could be a big crash, that would be an opportunity. Somebody who came in 2020 probably didn't know, but somebody who was in 2008 as well as 2020, they must have grabbed a lot of money. So I know a person from Delhi who actually deployed 16 crore rupees exactly on 24th or 25th March. That was the bottom in ETF. Just imagine, without doing anything, he's currently sitting on a profit of not much, 20-30 CR without doing anything. So that is what happens. Yeah.
Okay, then what is the role of dividends in the stock market? Is it really important in stock market trading or investing?
Earlier,
Dividends.
it used to be, I used to enjoy dividends because they used to be tax free. Now, because of my tax bracket, they have been charged based on the tax bracket. Not that exciting. Don't pick up a stock based on dividends. For instance, Google doesn't give dividends. If a
Hmm.
company is not giving dividends, that means there's a high probability. If a good company is not giving dividends, there's a high probability they're utilizing the same amount in growing the share value by growing the company. So it's not very important that you should always look for dividend. And finally, a lot of people only invest because dividends have been given by some public sector companies, but public sector companies over a longer period of time, they don't give a shareholding growth. They only give dividend growth. So plain and simple, if you're putting 100 rupees, you're getting 10 rupee dividend every year, makes no sense. It would be more sensible if in the next 5 years that 100 rupees becomes 500 rupees. So just don't look for dividend. Dividend is just an add-on.
Okay. And what are the some psychological points you want to give to those who are in losses right now?
Don't worry, don't give up. It takes time. The best of the best traders, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was in loss for 8 years. Don't worry. Have patience. Don't borrow the money. Try to develop your own system. Even if you're a discretionary trader, have a set of rules and try to stick to them. Have a and please, whenever, so let's say if you're in loss of 10 rupees, don't come with an intention of recovering 10 rupees. Until unless you don't let go of that, you won't be able to survive into the market. Come with a fresh slate. That's the only way through which you can sustain in the market. If you're trying to carry the baggage of the previous day or a previous loss, you would never be in a position to recover that. So come from a fresh state of mind, and that is where. So just imagine, in 2015 or 16, I was into loss, but 2018, I made a killing amount of money. Now, if in 16's loss, if I'd have thought, oh my god, मेरे को recover करने का, I would have never been in a position to recover that. So then I came with a bang and then made good amount of money. That was almost 8 times of whatever loss I made in that particular year. So this is exactly how you need to define your mindset.
All right. And someone is asking, should we follow discount broker, zero broker house, or and full time broker?
As long as your capital is small, discount brokers are good to go because पैसा बचाना जरूरी है. Once your capital goes up, please don't shy away from giving some more brokerage. I prefer full-time brokers. I have 5 broking accounts because it's even diversified out there. So the reason is because I trust more on full-time brokers because they have tested the rough times. They have seen 2008 to 2020, 2000, 2001. Since they have survived after so much of hiccups, I feel my amounts are safe. Although some people would say कि ये तो आजकल depositor के पास shares रहते हैं and all those things, but आपका capital का क्या हो गया? The regulator gives you an assurance of not more than 5 lakh rupees. Now just imagine if you have 5 crore rupees, क्या मिलेगा आपको 5 lakh का insurance लेके भी? So start with discount broker when your capital is small. But when your capital starts going big, or when you are thinking that I want to play a bigger game, switch to a full-time broker. And now full-time brokers have also subsidized their rates, so it's not a big problem.
Okay. Someone right here is asking, any guidance when to stay away from the markets?
Okay, it depends on your style. So let's take an example. If you're an option buyer, there is something called India VIX. If India VIX is above 17, try to avoid the market. If you're an option seller, try to avoid the market when the VIX is below 13. That is right now. Unnecessarily, a lot of option sellers are still trying out their luck. They will be into big trouble. If the market PE for an investor perspective, if market PE is above 24, I'm not talking about stock PE, market PE is above 24, try to avoid investing a lot of money. If the market PE is below 18 or 17, try to avoid shorting at that point of time. So it depends from situation to situation when you need to avoid. And as I said, if you have a conflict with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or if your girlfriend says कि अब तुम पहले जैसे नहीं रहे, please don't trade on that day.
Okay, okay. Harshit has one question he want to ask. Please go ahead, Harshit.
Sure.
Yeah, so my question is on swing trading. Actually, as you mentioned that swing trading is a great way to start your journey for beginner. So can you explain more on that? Any roadmap or any suggestion how to
Okay, so
start?
swing trading, first of all, what does it mean that you're trying to hold shares for a decent period of time? It could be a few days to a few weeks to a few months also, and you try to capture a bigger point. So what in terms of percentages? So in intraday, if you're trying to target 0.5%, in this case, swing trading, you're trying to chase 10, 20, 30%. Now, the best way through which you can learn is, my suggestion would be just go on Amazon and buy some books of Mark Minervini, Think Like a Champion, and then he has 1 or 2 books that will actually introduce you to the concept of VCP. VCP is volatility contraction practices, which is definitely going to help you out. So swing trading, it can be done through indicator as well. So for example, I'll give you guys a hint. There are moving averages which can be utilized. So you guys can devise your own method that whenever the stock is above this moving average on this particular time frame, and that is how you need to decide your own stop loss and target. You need to diversify. If you have 10,000 rupees, you're putting it into 5 different stocks. Eventually, as I said, trading is a journey, hit and trial. You need to do a lot of those things. But one of the best ways to learn is read Mark Minervini books, and you would probably thank me after a few years if you rigorously follow that.
I'll thank you by mailing.
Thank you. Welcome. I hope you got the answer.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
Okay, so I don't think we have any questions right now.
Cool.
So, does anyone have any other question to ask? You can drop down right now.
I guess we have answered fairly good amount of questions. Okay, somebody has already posted questions.
So let's wrap it up, and thank you for your insightful journey and insightful knowledge, Abhishek sir.
Thank you
And
so much. Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
your valuable time also. You have been traveling since very long, I guess, as you go.
True, and tomorrow also I have to travel. So
Yes.
I'm glad that I hopefully this session was helpful. And my best wishes with all the people out there. I can see a lot of claps, so thank you. That gives a nod that things went well. In case you have any further questions, try to ping me on Instagram. Although there's a high possibility I may not respond, but we'll try to have some other sessions soon with your college people as and when required. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We will drop down the social media handles link in the chat box right now.
Cool. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
So, guys, we want to express our sincere gratitude toward your active participation here. And it was such a nice session, by the way. Also, we will thank Wayanad House for making it possible, for all the event management things, and all our course, and Harshit, Lakshay, Pallav, everyone for hosting the meet. We hope you found the knowledge shared today to be valuable, and it will empower you in your financial endeavors also, I guess. So see you soon. Thanks for joining the session. You can leave the meet now. Thank you.